We're going to get into a time machine. We're going to get into a time machine, get back into the way, way, way back machine, and Chelsea Handler is going to be relevant. And we're going to talk about her. So she is in the news for all the wrong reasons. She was on Jimmy Fallon, the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, and live from her living room in her mansion, she explained why her former ex-boyfriend 50 Cent needs to repent for his support of Donald Trump. Now, we're going to listen to this. I'm going to play you the clip, and then we're going to talk about it, and we'll laugh, and some may cry.
You heard about my ex-boyfriend, right, 50 Cent, and his support of Donald Trump.
Yeah, what's going on between you? I saw your tweets, and I go, wait, what's happening? Because you said he was your favorite ex-boyfriend, and then what does he do? He's supporting Trump?
He says he doesn't want to pay 62% of taxes, which, by the way, isn't a plan of Joe Biden's. That's a lie. So he doesn't want to pay 62% of taxes because he doesn't want to go from being 50 cent to 20 cent. And I had to remind him that he was a black person, so he can't vote for Donald Trump, and that he shouldn't be influencing an entire swath of people who may listen to him because he's worried about his own personal pocketbook. So I haven't heard back from him yet, but I am willing to, seal the deal in more ways than one if he changes his mind and publicly denounces Donald Trump. I might be willing to go for another spin, if you know what I'm talking about.
So that was the one and only Chelsea Handler talking to Jimmy Fallon. And this video is just getting obliterated, the dislike to like ratio, and for good reason. I've advocated for this kind of stuff before. I do feel kind of uncomfortable doing this because as a middle-class white person, it's weird that it's weird for people to hear me kind of like not advocate for, but defend, be the one to stand up for this because it sounds funny coming out of my mouth, but I can't let this kind of stuff just go by the wayside. So this is so demeaning and disrespectful and arrogant and selfish towards African Americans to tell them you have to do something because you're African American. As Chelsea Handler, a very rich white person sitting in her mansion, I think that is disgusting. And it's even more disgusting that she also has the gall to cite that she's woke, right? Or cite that she is progressive, or cite that she is, for freedom and equality and this and whatever. And she's part of the progressive woke culture. When this is the opposite of that. This is the complete opposite of woke culture, or the complete opposite of being woke or being progressive or being equal or whatever. 50 Cent tells Jimmy Fallon or whoever, hey man, I've read Trump's tax policies. I like those more than Biden's. I don't like Biden's tax policies. I don't want to pay more taxes. 50 Cent has done some research. I'm not saying that that's enough. I'm not saying that, that's whatever. I'm not saying 50 Cent's right. I could care less. But for Chelsea Handler to, instead of doing any kind of research or any kind of actual, back and forth or discussion or having, a lively discourse, instead she falls back on the, let me remind you, 50 Cent, that you are black. Thus, you have to think this way. Thus, you have to vote this way, or you aren't black, or you aren't doing what black people should do. I don't have to explain why this is so bad. I don't have to explain why this is the worst. If someone told me, hey man, you're from Mississippi, you gotta love shooting guns. It's like, I do not. I'm not a hunter. I've shot a gun, but I'm not a gun guy. No. You're from Mississippi. You have to like shooting guns. You have to like hunting, right? No, I'm just me. I'm my own person. Like do not want to be pigeonholed. I do not want to be put in a shoebox here. You probably have a lot of camo, right? You're from Mississippi. Nope, don't have any camo at all. I am, again, my own person with my own thoughts. I have my own thing going on here. I'm good. Like I can make my mind up. I'm a big boy. I can read. So those like Mississippi stereotypes, this is a stereotype. Chelsea Handler is stereotyping 50 Cent. This is the same thing as saying if she was like, we were at a restaurant and 50 Cent said, or he declined to order the fried chicken. I had to remind him, it's like, If she would say that, it's like, Jesus Christ, Chelsea, that's the most racist thing I've ever heard. Like, you just said that on Jimmy Fallon? You just said you had to remind 50 Cent that he's black so that he had to order a certain type of food? That is incredibly racist, incredibly insensitive, and incredibly stereotypical. This is the exact same thing. This is the exact same thing. It is the same thing. I was going to say it's worse, but it's just the same. She's forcing him into a stereotype. She's forcing him into an ideal system. She's forcing him into thinking a certain way. She's expecting him to do no thinking of his own. I mean, this is a bad look. And it's funny because it comes from the people who spout off at the opposite. And Chelsea Handler's actually been in trouble for this before. She tried to do a woke kind of video series, and she did it from like her backyard in her mansion. And it's really, this reminds me of like when Gal Gadot did the Imagine thing, where all the celebrities are singing Imagine from their multi-million-dollar estates when the country was in flux of the coronavirus, and it didn't go well. People didn't want to hear that shit. People didn't want to hear, some blue-collar guy from West Virginia who got laid off from his job didn't want to hear Gal Gadot singing Imagine from her Malibu guest room, and this is how you know that a lot of these people just have no idea what they're talking about. Chelsea Handler obviously has absolutely no clue what she's talking about. She's just flat out letting her emotions get the best of her and flat out saying, I'm not worried about policy. I'm not worried about your thoughts. I'm not worried about whatever you have going on here. I'm not worried about any details. Flat out, black people have to vote against Donald Trump. Like, that's crazy, And again, this isn't like a long-winded take. This isn't a, hey guys, here's my TED Talk on why this is racist, why this is insensitive, why this is demeaning. And because it's pretty obvious. And I know the listeners to this show I would consider are very well educated or very smart, a lot of common sense. I think a lot of the people who listen to this program believe in critical thinking and believe in true equality. And we believe in, everyone can believe in whatever they want. And we're the minority, we're the last people thinking that. We're the last people thinking, hey, you just do you, I'm gonna do me, right? And that's it. You know what I mean? So she's the opposite. She is the us against them mentality, and I think that is a plague. I think that is the worst thing about our society right now, is this us versus them, red versus blue or whatever, where people are so scared to be different, and people are so scared to be, to have different views. I mean, how crazy is it? Like, think about her and 50 Cent. So her and 50 Cent, I'm not sure about what the relationship was like. Well, let's say it was a great relationship, and I'm not sure how long they dated, but she said he was her favorite ex-boyfriend. All of that was thrown away because he supported Trump for his tax plan. And Chelsea says, now you're not my favorite ex-boyfriend. Like, now this, and this. You have to. And then she does one of my favorite things. This is like the flag kneeling stuff, where then she says, you have to publicly denounce him in order for me to be back on your side. And it's like, just like with the Drew Brees flag thing, where they said, it's not okay, it's not good enough if you apologize. You have to publicly kneel for us to accept your apology. Doesn't that sound a little much? Doesn't that sound a little Old Testament? It's like, that's pretty close to the whole, like, you got caught stealing, apologizing is not enough, cut off your hand in order to really repent. It's like, well, hold on a second. You know what I mean? So this is more of the same. And the fact that it's coming from Chelsea Handler, of all people, is even more laughable. And the fact that it's on the Tonight Show, like, just the whole setup is insane. Jimmy Fallon's in his multi-million dollar penthouse, probably in New York. Chelsea's probably in California or something. And they're just yucking it up, just laughing because 50 Cent is black, so he should vote for Biden. It's like, how much more ridiculous can you get? And people wonder why this like false sense of celebrity is falling apart, because this is just so detached from reality. This is just so detached from humanity. And this is something I saw being thrown around, but I thought was pretty bad. And it's made so much worse from Jimmy Fallon just laughing. Let me read some of these comments for y'all. So there's some of these comments on the video. So a white person telling a black person what they can and can't do. Got it. These are the people calling Trump a racist. So 50 Cent can't vote for Trump because he's black. That's really racist. Two white people laughing about reining a black man in politically. Nice. If you the blatant racism from the left is mind-blowing, and the fact that their fans will acknowledge it is just puzzling. Well, not acknowledge it is puzzling. Malcolm X was absolutely right about white liberal Democrats. Handler telling a black man to get back on the Democratic plantation, more racism from the left. So let me get this straight. A white woman had to remind a grown black man that he is black as if he somehow woke up and forgot, and she had to put him back in his place. I think there's a term for people like that, but I just can't put my finger on it. So Handler is saying that black people aren't allowed to think for themselves but have to vote Democrat. Tell me again how conservatives are racist. Unbelievable. I mean, it really is bad. It really is bad. And this kind of stuff is rampant. You know, if you meet somebody and they're like, oh, hey, who are you voting for? It's like, shit, man. Like, either way, if we're not on the same page, you run a risk of that person basically telling you, okay, well, get lost, because some people think like that. Some people think like, if it is not 1 + 1, you know, like if it's not a perfect match, you can't have opposing viewpoints. And you know, like I said, that didn't happen. But I think we live in a world where that can happen. Where I've heard people who get fired at their job for both, for supporting Biden or for supporting Trump. And I don't think we need to be living in a world like that. And every time I hear about something like that happening, it upsets me. It makes me. That's my nightmare. You know, my nightmare is where there is no differing opinions, where there is no differing voices. I just recently got in a discussion with some family members because we were talking about Mother Teresa, and I brought up a essay that Christopher Hitchens, as you all know, one of my heroes, Christopher Hitchens did opposing Mother Teresa and kind of pointing out some flaws in how she was portrayed. So I sent them the video, and we had this long-form discussion where, you know, obviously they were taken aback by it, which Christopher Hitchens did. Like, that was Christopher Hitchens' main MO, was to incite this, like, you know, feeling. And I was explaining, like, I'm not saying this is true. I'm just offering the different opinion. I love that shit. I love the differing opinion. I love it. I mean, I've said before on the show, I'm a Catholic, right? I love listening to atheists or listening to different religions or whatever. I love that. If it was up to me, I would get, I think it's a polymist is what it's, let me make sure I'm not getting this wrong. I think a polymist is someone who like enjoys, a polymist, a person who engages in controversial debate. That's what I like. That I like getting in debates or arguments, not arguments. I mean, I don't walk around like, you know, I don't want to sound like I'm walking around getting people's opinions on late stage capitalism. Like, I don't care about that. I mean, it's not like that. But I enjoy a long form discussion with different ideals, and it can be on anything. It can be on sports, can be on cooking, can be on, you know, whatever, history or politics or TV or, you know, like I'm interested in what do you think about Stranger Things? Okay, well, you love it. I don't like it. Let's talk about it. Or I like it. You don't like it. Let's talk about it. You know, that I think that's like the best. And I hope that we get to a place in society again where open discussion, differing opinions, you know, stuff like that can be the norm again. It's certainly the norm on this channel. You know, it's certainly the norm here. Not to, you know, talk about the comments again, but out of 30,000 views, it ain't a lot of people agreeing with me. I'll tell you that. You go look at my comments on YouTube. If you go look at the comment section on my YouTube, it's a lot of people not agreeing with me. And I'm really proud of that, because if you go to Ben Shapiro, if you go to Steven Crowder, if you go to whoever, all their videos are 99% like. I could get 99% likes on my videos if I wanted to. You know, I could pander if I wanted to. I could placate to a certain audience. But I'm not interested in that. And if that's it, if we hit a wall, or if we hit a growth plateau because the algorithm doesn't like that we have 60, 70% like ratio and that whatever, so be it. So be it. I would rather go down on this ship of promoting different thoughts, different thinking, and advocating for this kind of discussion. I would rather this than being a yes man for whatever ideology it is. I'm not interested in that, and I never will be. And, this is like probably close to the 40th podcast we've done this year. We're well past the pace of one podcast per week. So the fact that we still have a very good listenership, a very good base, people listening, people talking, people discussing, people asking questions, that means that there are people out there who want that same thing.